stagnant time period, I think. We focused on hope, and there was a great feeling of hope that came out of each one of us throughout that. A lot of thinking that went on, and I really enjoyed hearing feedback from people as to how they experienced it, how they interpreted the various readings, what they liked and what they didn't like, and those are real great hope-filled and faith-filled building blocks for us. And in our gospel today, it's kind of interesting that there's a gospel totally applicable to three people who come from quite another region of the then ancient world. And they come to pay homage, as it says, to this little baby. And if you stop and think for a moment, it's really special. It really is. Because here's this child born of a carpenter and a young teenage mother, who's the first group of people to acknowledge him are shepherds, which are the bottom of society. The king at the time wants to kill him. And these three individuals come to pay homage to him. And it's hugely ironic, I think, in this day and age, in 2013, that the people that come to pay homage to him are coming from Iran, modern-day Iran. They're from the Persian Empire. And there's a great deal in our world today right now of conflict that's taking place in terms of Iran and the Middle East and North America and Europe. I don't have to tell you, you see it on the news all the time. So I think there's a message that's there for us. That these three people who come to see Jesus bring with them these gifts, which are going to prove invaluable for them in their flight to Egypt. Who bring with them these gifts that say to the baby Jesus, you know what? We acknowledge you. We believe in you. And they're outsiders. They're not part of Judah or you know, the population, the inner population of Jerusalem, nothing like that. They come from quite a distance. And again, there's a message there for us, that we are to be inclusive of everyone. And Christianity, historically, hasn't been very good at that. Inclusiveness. So we still have, from this gospel, that message to learn. And I think it's really significant. The gospel talks about the three kings, the magi, whatever you wish to, phrase you wish to use. They're coming to pay homage to Jesus. It's not a top-down thing. Jesus doesn't travel there to pay homage to these three guys. They come to pay homage to him. Because he is of the people. He is the people. And so we, in looking at this whole message, I think can be comforted by the fact that it's not significant. It's not important, rather. It's not important to have a huge hierarchy running everything. What's important is to gather together as friends, as people, and to say to God, to say to Jesus, we welcome you into our hearts. Thank you. Thank you, Son of God, for being one of us. That's a great message for us. And I want to share with you this bit of history. In the year 614 AD, Croesus, king of Iran, which was then Persia, began an assault on the Byzantine Empire of the East, which turned into a blitzkrieg. The phrase blitzkrieg isn't used until World War II, but nevertheless. His army swept through Armenia, Syria, and into Palestine, wreaking havoc everywhere, and especially to Christian churches. After the capture of Bethlehem, the king personally took charge of the burning of the great basilica of the Nativity. As his men were carrying out the sacred vessels, silver lamps, and other loot, one of the officers noticed a large mosaic on the north wall, depicting the Magi offering their gifts to the Christ child. He was startled by their dress, for they were clothed in the regal dress of his own countrymen. The king was informed of this marvelous mosaic, and he too was astonished at the sight. At once he ordered the basilica be spared. And since, as he thought, it was expressly built to honor his royal predecessors, those priest kings who came to Bethlehem. So you see, when we talk about God's plans being intricate and often beyond our ability to grasp, there's but one small example of that. The Magi coming from the east has a direct implication in many respects for us, the idea of inclusiveness. But almost 600 years later, that visit saves a part of Christianity. The church is still there today, the Church of the Nativity. It's there for people to visit. So, what an interesting twist of fate, what an interesting miracle the three kings bring into our midst. So, let us think about the ideas of inclusiveness and what it truly means for us. And the idea and the power of miracles that we've experienced on many occasions within our own community. Because it's a matter of opening our eyes, our minds, and our hearts. And when we welcome Jesus into our hearts, then all of that is there for us too.